Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. Hey guys, I'm a 29-year-old woman and this is my first time posting here. I'm feeling pretty upset and conflicted right now. Let me give you some backstory. A few years ago, my dad married a woman who had a daughter from a previous marriage. At first, I was happy to have a new sister, but things quickly turned sour. My stepsister, who I'll call Amy, has always been jealous of me and my relationship with our dad. She's made several attempts to sabotage our relationship, and it's caused a lot of tension between us. Fast forward to last year when I got engaged to my fiance. My mom was thrilled and wanted to help plan the wedding. She even offered to pay for most of it. I was excited to have her support and involvement, but Amy had other plans. One day, I discovered that Amy had taken my mom's name off the wedding guest list without her or my knowledge. I had given her the task of sending out the invitations because she wanted to help out, but I went over the list again because I'm somewhat of a control freak. That's when I noticed my mom's name is crossed out. When I confronted Amy, she admitted to doing it because she didn't want my mom to have too much control over the wedding. I was angry and hurt, but I didn't want to cause any more drama leading up to my big day, so I let it go. The discovery of Amy's actions made the wedding planning process incredibly stressful for me. I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, worrying about what other underhanded things Amy might be doing behind my back. The realization that she was willing to hurt me and my mom, and just to assert control, was a harsh reminder of how toxic our relationship has become. I couldn't even understand why Amy felt the need to interfere with my mom's involvement in the wedding planning. My mom had always been supportive of Amy and had never done anything to warrant such hostility. It was as if Amy was trying to punish my mom for being a caring and involved parent, which made me feel even more protective of my mom. As much as I wanted to confront Amy and demand an explanation, I knew that it wouldn't change anything. She had already shown me that she was willing to do whatever it took to get her way, and I didn't want to give her any more power over me. So I decided to take the high road and let it go, hoping that Amy would come around eventually. I never told my mom what happened because I didn't want to worry her or spoil the excitement leading up to the wedding. On the day of the wedding, everything went smoothly and it was a beautiful ceremony. However, when it came time for the reception, I noticed that my mom seemed distant and upset. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that multiple people had given her weird looks and asked her what she was doing there. I was so confused, but I had a gut feeling that this had to do with Amy. So I found Amy and asked her what she had done this time. She just had this nasty smirk on her face and told me that my mom got what she deserved. I don't understand what she meant by that, but I immediately kicked Amy out of the wedding. I asked some of the other wedding guests what Amy had told them about my mom, and some of them told me that rumors were being spread that my mom was mentally ill and trying to break up the relationship between my dad and my stepmom. I'm so done with Amy. I cleared up the rumors, of course, but my mom was really sad for the remainder of the day, and it pretty much ruined my wedding. Update 1. Unfortunately, things only got worse from there. A few months after the wedding, my dad died unexpectedly. It was a devastating blow to our family, and we are all still struggling to come to terms with the loss. But amidst the grief and mourning, Amy shocked us all by asking for her inheritance right away. It's as if my dad's death was just a business transaction to her, and she didn't even have the decency to wait until we had all had a chance to process our emotions. I was furious at her selfishness and insensitivity, and I couldn't believe that she could be so selfish in the wake of our dad's death. It was clear that Amy had no actual love or respect for our dad, and her actions only confirmed that she was in it for the money. Despite my anger and disappointment, I tried to keep my cool and remain civil toward Amy. I knew that my dad would have wanted us to stick together as a family, even if it meant putting our differences aside. But it was hard. Every time I look at Amy, I can't help but feel a deep sense of betrayal and resentment toward her. She has caused so much pain and turmoil in our family, and now she's trying to profit off of our dad's death. I'm trying to focus on the positive memories of my dad and the love and support of my family and friends, but the presence of Amy is making it difficult to fully heal and move on. Update 2. As we were going through the process of sorting out my dad's will, my stepdad told me that my dad had left a substantial amount of money and property to both me and Amy. But when we got the official will document, I noticed that there was a strange clause in my dad's will that stated that Amy would receive a larger portion of the inheritance if I consented the will or tried to take any legal action against her. At first, I thought it was just a strange stipulation that my dad had included in the will, but then my stepmom dropped a bombshell on me. She revealed that my dad had been sick for a while and Amy had known about it all along. According to my stepmom, Amy had been trying to push me and my mom out of my dad's life so that we wouldn't be included in the will. She had convinced my dad to change the will and leave more to her, using our strained relationship as an excuse for her actions. My dad had always wanted us to get along, but Amy had poisoned his mind against us. My stepmom was trying to stop all of this from happening, but in the end, she focused her attention on caring for my dad. I am devastated by this revelation. Not only has Amy caused so much pain and drama leading up to my wedding, but she has also been manipulating my dad behind the scenes for her own financial gain while he was sick. And I didn't even know about it. She has been playing the long game all along, trying to push me and my mom out of the picture so that she can inherit more money and property. Update 3. Hey Reddit, it's been a few weeks since my last update and a lot has happened. I'm sorry for my language, but I am still feeling heated over this thing, so I'm just going to let it out. As some of you might remember, my dad passed away unexpectedly and Amy wasted no time in asking for her inheritance. Well, shit hit the fan when we found out that Amy had known about my dad's illness for a while and had been trying to push me and my mom out of his life so that she could have the inheritance all to herself. At first, I was in shock. I couldn't believe that someone could be so conniving and cruel, especially to her own family. But then I got angry, real freaking angry. I didn't waste any time confronting Amy. I called her out on all her bullshit and let her know exactly what I thought of her. I didn't hold back. I used some pretty colorful language, too. I told her that she was a freaking snake and that I never wanted to see or speak to her again. Amy tried to play the victim, of course. She claimed that she was just looking out for her own interests and that she was sorry for any hurt feelings. But I wasn't having it. I knew that she was just trying to save face and salvage whatever inheritance she could get. I made sure to tell my mom and every single person in the family about Amy's actions, too. I won't lie, it's been tough. Dealing with the death of my dad and the betrayal of my stepsister has been a lot to handle, but I know that I did the right thing by standing up for myself and my mom. I'm not going to let anyone, especially not someone as toxic as Amy, push me around or treat me like shit. So, to all of you who gave me advice and support in my previous posts, thank you. I couldn't have done this without you guys. And to Amy, if you're reading this, frick you. You can keep your inheritance. It's not worth the price of your soul. NTA. Wow, that is terrible. I can't believe that someone would stoop so low just to get their hands on an inheritance. Amy is a manipulative and selfish person who deserves to be cut out of the family entirely. I hope that the poster and her family can move on from this toxic situation and find peace without Amy's involvement. Definitely NTA. As someone who has dealt with toxic family members before, I can say that cutting them out of your life is sometimes the best option. It's never easy, but sometimes it's necessary for your mental health and well being. I hope the poster can find some peace and comfort in knowing that she did everything she could to stand up for herself and her mom. NTA, it's really disappointing to see how some people can act when money is involved. Amy's behavior is despicable, and sadly, she was willing to sacrifice relationships with her step sibling just to try to get a bigger piece of the pie. I hope that this serves as a lesson to anyone who's considering doing something similar. It's just not worth it in the end. Next story. My husband, 44, male, and I, 43, female, have two kids. Both left for college, and one is in law school now. So we are empty nesters. I love it. I get to go wherever, whenever. Right now, I'm skiing a lot, and we take lots of vacations. I'm planning on retiring in a few years. We invested smartly and now our home is paid off and my kids are getting a full ride in school. We can retire without much worry, although we will still work until the economy is better and our bodies allow us to. The problem is my husband is now bored and wants a foster child. I am absolutely against the idea. My cousin did foster a child for 3 years. She is infertile and decided she wanted to foster as a way to have a child in her life. But that child was a complete nightmare and almost made her and her husband divorce over it because it caused so many issues. I know not all foster children are like that, but my cousin is far more compassionate. She's a nurse than me, and she was crying to me and my sister every day about it, and I don't want to do it. It's hard to tell what a child has gone through, and it's usually nothing good if they need to be fostered. I don't have the energy to deal with it anymore. I raised my son and daughter, and unless they need me, I'm going to finish my last years at work and then retire and enjoy my quiet years. My husband constantly badgers me to reconsider, and I've told him I'm not going to. He argues it will be like having a child again, and I told him I don't want that. I told him to find a volunteer position at a school or go down to the children's wing of his hospital. He is a doctor. If he wants to spend time with children. He also works outside the home while I have a hybrid job, 3 days in the office and 2 days at home. So I feel like any foster child will just become my responsibility. But he's constantly complaining that I'm not being compassionate and we could change a child's life for the better, but I know it will probably change my life for the worse. Still, AITA for refusing to sign up to be a foster? NTA. No couple should bring in a foster child unless both parents are completely on board. To do otherwise would be to breed resentment and ultimately a bad situation for a child who needs a loving home. Your husband is not TA for wanting a foster child, but he is TA for pressuring you to foster when you've repeatedly made clear that you do not want to. Your husband is welcome to volunteer with children or do other things he finds fulfilling. If he wanted to get divorced and foster a child himself, that would be his right. But it's not right for him to pressure you to foster a child you don't want. Enjoy having an empty nest. NTA, I'm going to bet you did the bulk of raising your children while he worked long and odd hours the way most doctors do. You've paid your dues and deserve your time off from parenting. Yes, it's never done even once they move out, but you know what I mean. I don't know much about it, but I'm assuming the foster agency would decline you guys anyway, as you're not on board. Next story. My niece's birthday is in mid-December. My son was in the hospital for almost the entire month of December. During that time, I rarely went anywhere except for work and occasionally home to get clean clothes. My dad and sister also frequently came over to help with things, bring food, sit with him while I took a shower and things like that. I did not attend my niece's birthday, wasn't even thinking about it at all. I also forgot to text her happy birthday. My dad also missed her birthday because he was helping with stuff at the hospital. So no one from her mom's side of the family was there except for her mom. Now that my son is back home, my sister and her husband brought my niece to visit. At one point, after my son fell asleep, my niece said to me, "Just so you know, it really hurt my feelings that you didn't wish me a happy birthday, not even a text." I was a little miffed that she would hold on to something like that when my son and I just went through something horrible. But birthdays are a big deal when you were 15. So I just said, "It slipped my mind. Happy birthday." My brother in law said, "She was pretty upset no one from your side of the family was there." I just stared at him for a second. "Yeah, I was at the hospital with my son. Kind of weird that you forgot that." He said, "I didn't forget, but you took over everyone's attention for a month. I don't think it's too much to ask that you apologize to my daughter for making her grandfather miss her birthday." My sister said that we should talk about something else, but I said I thought it would be better to cut the visit short since my son was already asleep anyway. My niece said, "So you would rather leave us than acknowledge you hurt my feelings?" I said yes. My sister gave me a hug and said they would visit at a better time. But her husband said, "Don't worry, honey, your uncle is just a jerk. It's nothing to do with you." Then they left. Now, could I have apologized for missing her birthday and technically being the reason my dad did? Sure. Should I have? She's 15. One would think she's old enough to understand extenuating circumstances. Is that an unrealistic expectation? Update. Thanks to all the people that weighed in and gave me perspective on this situation. Between caring for my son and work, I haven't been able to read every comment. However, I have read a decent sampling, and all the diverse opinions help me to sort through my thoughts. I'll address a few common statements and then tell you what I decided to do. I know it is difficult to comprehend what a situation like this entails if you've never been in it. Several people have told me to take my niece out to dinner, and this will all blow over. I am now the primary caretaker of a disabled child alongside working a full-time job. I am in massive medical debt and will probably be filing for bankruptcy in the near future. Taking people out to dinner is not in any sense a realistic proposal. I have a time deficit and a money deficit. A lot of commenters also made mention of my sister and her parenting in a negative light. My sister is an amazing person and mother. Despite what I might be feeling towards her husband right now, she is the world's greatest big sister, and I am blessed to have her in my life. She came through for me in so many ways during all of this, as she has many times before in my life. That brings me to my decision. I made the difficult judgment call that I didn't have the appropriate emotional resources right now to handle this conflict without potentially causing a further rift in the family. I wrote my sister an email expressing my gratitude to and love for her. I then explained that I am going to be limiting contact with her husband and daughter temporarily while I handle the situation with my son. I don't have the emotional strength right now to address the issue with them and be 100% confident that I won't say something I might later regret. I told her that however she needs to handle my decision, I will accept and respect. I just sent the email and I am nervous. Even with everything going on right now, I am scared of possibly losing my closeness with my sister. My son is my main priority though, and I have to focus on him. Thank you to everyone for your perspectives. The wide variety of responses help balance me. And some of you might be the reason I didn't make a big mistake like calling up my brother-in-law and cussing him out. Things will be difficult moving forward, but I have hope they will improve with time. NTA. The 15-year-old isn't an a-hole. She is 15 and is a little self-centered, but she has time to grow out of it. She doesn't have the life experience to truly understand what you and your family have gone through. In her head, you weren't the one sick, so why did you forget about her? Her parents, on the other hand, are huge a-holes for not correcting her when she brought it up and then not explaining to her the reason why people were busy was someone was very sick. If she was still hurt, maybe they could have thrown her a half birthday party in 6 months when your son was hopefully feeling better. ESH, your brother-in-law more than you, but when your niece said you hurt her feelings, you shouldn't have just blown her off. Apologize and let her know it was a hectic time for you. Then, if she's still rude, sure, but she didn't seem that rude to begin with. Kids and teenagers are self-centered and sometimes need things explained more clearly that you weren't trying to hurt them. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.